episode of the We Don't Wanna podcast. This is the show where two certified dipshits make uncertified takes on your favorite shows. We are your hosts. I am Scott, and joining me, as always, God's bless him and his tits, it's Zachary Attackary! How are you doing today, my buddy? How are them tits?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. My tits are doing great, too.
Excellent. Yep. You know that's all I really care about. In the end, that's all it is. Yeah, big time.
Scott and I will catch up after, weeks of not talking, and the first thing he asks is like, hey, man, how those tits doing?
When have we ever gone since we've known each other weeks without talking?
That's true.
Keep close.
This is a daily occurrence. I was trying to make you not sound like a weirdo, but this happens.
Listen,
this happens daily.
I'm gonna sound like a weirdo. That's just gonna be a fact. This is Game of Thrones episode 2, The Kingsroad. We are doing Game of Thrones, of course. I just said that. It's fine. We'll roll with it. This episode covers a lot of ground, both metaphorically speaking and actually speaking. They cover a lot of moving distances in this episode.
Yeah, this episode is a journey, and I feel like a lot of expectations are being set, and tensions are rising in this episode.
For sure.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. Why don't we hit our recap here to start, Zachy boy, and then we can jump in on our thoughts for the episode.
Works for me.
So we begin in the East as our girl Dany struggles adapting to her new life with the Dothraki. So Jorah attempts to comfort her. Good guy, that Ser Jorah. In the North, Tyrion teaches Joff some manners by slapping the ever-living shit out of him. We learn that Bran will apparently not die from his fall off the tower, and that Cersei lost her firstborn child. She pays her respects to Catelyn for Bran, and Jon gives Arya a pointy present, says his goodbyes to Bran and Robb as well. Ned and King Robert, along with all the king's horses and all the king's men, didn't they try to put Humpty Dumpty back together again? No, they begin their journey back south to King's Landing. Jon learns that the Night's Watch may be less than the noble order that he expected. At Winterfell, a fire distracts the guards, and an assassin makes an attempt on Bran's life. Catelyn is injured in the attempt, but Bran's direwolf saves the day.
Boy, does he.
Boy, does he. John, Tyrion, and Benjen reach the wall, and we get our first sight of Castle Black and that 700-foot high, just massive wall of solid ice.
Did you say solid?
I did say solid. No, you gotta say it way creepier than that. Did you say solid?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said solid.
Shouts to Jake.
Lady Catelyn pieces together that Bran must have been thrown from the tower, and that the Lannisters are definitely involved. They decide Ned needs to know of this, and Catelyn decides to go south to King's Landing to tell him. In the East, Dany decides she's going to learn how to make sexy time with Drogo, and him and all his boobies are all for it.
All of his boobies. Does he have more than the regular amount?
No, well, I mean, yeah, he does have more than the regular amount. He does have some massive boobies.
Solid point. Majestic for sure.
Dany ascends to a true Khaleesi and begins to fall into her role a little bit more. On the Kingsroad, Sansa and Joff make googly eyes at each other. I hate Joff. When Joff threatens Arya's friend, the Butcher's Boy, Arya hits him with a stick, and then her direwolf, Nymeria, chews up his arm. Arya runs away and gives Nymeria the old White Fang treatment so that they can't have her killed. Bobby B tries to put this incident to rest, but he agrees to let he agrees to let a direwolf be killed instead of Nymeria at Cersei's request. Sansa's direwolf, Lady, will take Nymeria's place. We also learn that the butcher's boy was killed by the Hound when he ran. Ned kills Lady, and we cut to a scene of Bran opening his eyes. Fade to black.
Man, this episode jumps around a lot. Like we talked about, we covered a lot of grounds, but it's a solid episode.
It is, and
go ahead.
Like with the rewatch, knowing things right that are being set into motion, and knowing to look out for, I guess, certain themes.
Sure,
it's man, there's a lot of writing on the wall in this episode.
One of the big ones is like the increasing tension, and this is maybe getting a little bit ahead of myself, but the increasing tension between the House Lannister and House Stark, and how House Baratheon and our boy Bobby B are he's kind of literally and figuratively just stuck in the middle of his best friend and House Stark and his queen and his wife and House Lannister. And it's just not a good spot for my boy Bobby B.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of a love triangle. It's a hate triangle.
It's a hate triangle, exactly.
And he's right in the middle of it.
He's right in the middle of it, and it's not good.
The Lannisters and the Starks are having hate sex, and the Baratheons are just like...
He's just watching from the sidelines, being like, I don't know what to do about this.
Do I help?
I'm pretty sure I don't like it.
At least I think I don't like it.
At least I don't think I like it. The other thing that I appreciate is we really start to establish the importance and the connections between what is going on in our East storyline, and our West storyline. You know, we got a little bit of talk, and a little bit of background in the first episode of Daenerys and Viserys, being like, oh, we got to retake the kingdoms from, for our family and all this. But when Ned and Robert have that talk along the Kingsroad about, she married this Dothraki horse lord, and he's got 100,000 men in his horde, and what happens if they cross? And it's raising that stakes, and it's giving more. It's telling you, hey, this is why this is important. This is why what is going on in the East is important for all our characters in the West and the Seven Kingdoms, Right. And I appreciate that they're establishing that so early, and they're, also a byproduct of that is yet another argument between, Robert and Ned, where Ned is like, this is unspeakable. How can you be talking about killing a child effectively?
Right. And it's interesting because it feels like, okay, these are two guys who have a lot of respect for each other. They're old friends. And this is just kind of like a, dude, get off your shit, man. Like, there's upset and argument, but there's still kind of a mutual respect there.
For sure.
And you feel the power and the weight that Ned throws, and of course King Robb. But as the episode progresses, it just feels
King
like
Robert.
Right, King Robert. I'm sorry, King Bobby B. Excuse me. As the episode progresses, it's impossible to not feel like that thread is kind of coming undone already.
Yeah. The tension is already building. Like, they're not even to King's Landing yet, and already there's kind of a lot of tension between the two of them. Like, even the final scene, like, you can tell they still love and respect each other, but the final scene of the episode where
Is this your command?
Is this your command, your grace? Exactly.
God, dude.
It's like, and he doesn't even answer. Like,
he just looks at him, turns away,
and walks away, and it's brutal. But it's like, this is already, this great relationship between the two of them is being tested greatly in multiple ways. It's not just the Targaryen girl. It's, the Lannisters, it's all this stuff. And I think you're right. This foreshadowing, this kind of building of these themes and these plot lines is really, really well done.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I had to take note of is this episode, I feel like, does an insanely good job of establishing the rift and the like kind of subtle power struggles between many people.
Yeah.
To different degrees too, right? Like not just Sansa and Arya like not being similar. Like that's there, of course, take note of it. But even as you climb the political power like spectrum, like you've got this kind of weird dynamic which we kind of related to the three houses, but you've got Cersei kind of in the middle of Rob and Bobby B and Ned kind of knowing what strings to pull to create that divide.
Yes, definitely.
And this happened early on in episode 1 when Cersei meets Sansa.
Yep.
And she's like, well, that's where my manipulation is going to work. And you know, like for all the love I have for Sansa, I really do grow to love her in this show. She's just easily played.
Yeah.
And Cersei owns that shit, dude.
The themes around Sansa are much more explored in the books, but like Sansa is so naive to start this show. She is like, her head is just filled with like the songs and the stories of chivalry and knights and all these great heroes, and she is completely oblivious to how the real world actually works. And we see that a bunch through these first couple seasons for sure. And Cersei is playing. Definitely, she is making her puppets dance where she can, getting her little victories in where she can. You know, they're like, oh, we couldn't find the wolf like Nymeria, and Cersei's like, well, we have another wolf. I'm just saying.
And you know, the fucking crazy thing too is that entire exchange, which by the way, the intensity, the frustration, and even I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively low stakes like issue.
Right.
But the tension is there nonetheless.
Yeah.
And every response, every like obstacle put in the way, Cersei has a response to.
Yes, she does. She's
like,
ready for everything.
You get the feeling so instantly that she has it figured out.
She is a player in the Game of Thrones. She's not there to observe or to be a bystander. She is a player. You mentioned like the tension, and this is again, we're jumping here to the end. We're talking a lot about the end here, but
it's a great ending.
The last two scenes of this, I love. Like, I don't think, and if you want to, you know, by all means, but I didn't think there was an episode, or excuse me, a scene in this episode that I was like, I would put this on the short list for best scene in the series, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, but I do love these last kind of two scenes, particularly like the lighting and the way they're shot. When Ned first like pushes his way into the inn, he's like, it's a very close-up shot behind him as he's like pushing through.
It's like the Assassin's Creed, like pushing through.
They're all Lannister guardsmen, and there's just like so many Lannister guardsmen, and he's just like pushing his way through, and just like the way it's shot, how close it is, it's just very claustrophobic. Yeah, and then and that adds to the tension that you were talking about. And then when he leaves to go, kill Lady. Just the lighting and like the music
and the sound, it's so bad.
Sound, it's brutal, but it's like so well done. And then they of course they juxtapose it with the Bran, waking up as soon as he kills Lady, which is very good. Right. But this, much more so than the first episode, I started to notice the music in this show. I was like, oh right, the music in this show is incredible. Yeah,
there was
shouts to the opening, the title too, which is of course a classic.
Of course, there was a couple notes that reminded me of Dunkirk.
Oh sure,
because from the beginning of the episode, it is almost a constant journey of tension.
Yeah,
you have like and realization and tension, I feel like.
The realization is a big one, especially with like John and Tyrion scenes.
Oh yeah, and it starts off a little bit lighter, although the tension is there, and it just progresses and progresses and progresses, and you're like, oh fuck, dude.
Yeah, you're right. The episode starts on, well, after the Dany part, when we get back to the north, it starts on a much lighter note. You know, we get that great scene. Tyrion is an all-star in this episode. Where he just slaps the ever-living shit out of Joffrey and just totally just berates him and just reads him the riot act. And I love the Hound being like, he'll remember that, little lord. And Tyrion's just like, oh, dude, I hope so. And if he doesn't, be a good dog and remind him. And he has a quip for everything. And it starts very humorous. But even then, as they go into the breakfast scene, like, the tension starts to build. Like, oh yeah, there's that look exchange between like Cersei and Jaime when Tyrion's like, apparently the boy will live. Yeah. And, you know, it's just like the tension starts building there, and it only gets higher and higher as the episode goes on.
And there's only a couple brief moments of breath.
Right.
I mean, sure. Like you do have the Dany scene, but even then, there is like, even though it's a more romanticized like scene, and like, you know, insert joke about sexual tension, like there is still like a kind of the sense of like, fuck man, I hope this works. Like there's still, it just feels like something's on the line, you know?
Sure. I had some tension, if you know what I mean, when I watched that scene.
Had to loosen a button or two.
Can I just say the Jason Momoa eye candy train?
Oh my
don't
Lord.
Stop for nothing, and I'm all aboard. Choo
also, I know you probably don't think so, but Emilia Clarke
she's beautiful,
gorgeous, dude.
She's aight. She's, you know, there's hotter girl characters in this series in my humble opinion, you know. But we get full ass from my boy Momoa in this scene, scene, and I'm like,
double cheeked up, bro.
Boobies and ass. Like, what am I in heaven?
Dude, that's the fucking heaven gates right there, dude.
That is the heaven's gates. We got to talk about the main scene between John and Tyrion. When they're on the road. This scene is so good.
A mind needs a book like a sword needs a whetstone.
Yes.
Such a good fucking quip, dude.
It is a good quip.
This guy is loaded with them.
He has got one for every occasion. This is not going to be on our... Some people may think this is Tyrion being mean to John. It is most certainly not. Tyrion is one of the few people who is very upfront and honest with John. And John is starting to learn, like we said, you know, the Night's Watch maybe is not what he thought it was cracked up to be. And Tyrion is helping him realize these brutal truths and maybe trying to help him, you know, start to come to terms with it a little bit. But it's such a good scene. I love their banter back and forth. And I like these two characters a lot. They're both so good.
It's one of those things that I wish I got to see them on screen together more.
Sure.
Right.
We'll get it for a couple more episodes.
Yeah. Right.
It's also interesting how in the first episode, Benjen kind of tried to tell John some of these things. He wasn't as blunt about it as Tyrion was, but he was like, you don't know what you're asking. You know, when John's like, let me go with you. Let me go to the Night's Watch. And Benjen's like, you don't know what you're asking. You don't know what you would be giving up. Benjen was also trying to be kind to him. And now, you know, that
maybe
ship has sailed.
Maybe not forthcoming enough with...
Sure. But
how
now,
shitty the Night's Watch is.
For sure. And we'll see plenty more of that. But Tyrion is just like, yeah, dude, like, you're going to have brothers of the Night's Watch that are real fucking shit heels.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not...
Do we know why Benjen took the black? I don't think I ever...
It's not like super uncommon for like third or fourth sons to do it from like even noble houses because they don't have anything to inherit. You know, they don't have much they can do in like through normal means. Some of them will just do it for kind of glory and honor, although these days that's kind of tough to find along the wall, especially more so for the Starks. I think, like, you know, as they separate, they
just kind of feel like almost a little bit responsible for maintaining the Night's Watch.
Correct. Yeah. You know, Ned has that line to Jon as they separate. Ned basically tells him, like, the Starks have manned the wall for thousands of years. Whether that's in a very literal sense, in that, yes, there has always been a Stark on the wall, or not. You know, it's definitely something that, you know, sons that are not like firstborns that are a little further down certainly do. Like our boy, Sir Waymar Royce, who did not last long in the first episode of the series.
I feel like that's your favorite character, man.
I don't know why, but I love Sir Waymar Royce.
I hate him and his stupid little mustache.
It's a good thing we're not children.
Dude, fuck that guy.
I think I love him because of how much he reminds me of Wesley from The Princess Bride. I'm gonna be honest, that's a big part of it.
Okay.
If anyone out there agrees with me, let us know in the comments. I think he looks so much like Wesley. What else did you want to hit on?
Yeah, so I was gonna say we also in this episode get our first mention of the Shadowlands beyond Ashai.
Good world building for a boy Ser Jorah.
Yes. So, like, I feel like if you've listened to our podcast throughout Harry Potter or One Piece, you know that Scott and I feel a certain kind of tension, if you know what I mean. When it comes to world building, that's the thing that we just love and adore about any well-written story.
It's my second favorite thing in storytelling is world building.
What's your first favorite thing?
Character.
Jason Momoa.
Character, right. Jason Momoa's butt cheeks, yes.
Yeah.
And boobies, yes. That's number one with a bullet.
And yeah, you know, these are things that maybe a casual watcher wouldn't pick up until maybe their second walkthrough or until you have these fun conversations with people. But it just gives you this sense of like, there is so much here for us to dive into. And I feel like at some point, you and I, Scott, we will here on the pod. I know that this is more just to kind of guide people through the show. But there's so much material out there of the world of Ice and Fire. And you just get these very intricately placed breadcrumbs throughout the books and throughout the show of these areas and these histories and these just things that you're like, fuck, man, I want to know more about that. This is one of them.
It's the stuff in the margins that we talk about that I love so much. Yeah. And I think they do a particularly good job in the show of just kind of sprinkling them in here and there. Like,
right.
It's just kind of an in-passing 30-second conversation that Ser Jorah has with Dany where he's just tells her about these Shadowlands and this ghost grass and all this. And it's just like, it makes the world feel so much more alive and like lived in. And there's just like, oh shit, there's so much else going on everywhere that we don't even see or hear about. And it just, I think it just, it helps it feel, obviously this is a fantasy story and you have to, you know, check your disbelief at the door on a lot of things, but it just makes the world have a much more real feel about it. And I love that. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
A couple great lines I want to call out. Obviously we had a big one from the opening with my boy Bobby B. Bessie! Thank the gods for Bessie and her tits. I love Bobby B so much. He's so funny.
I think what's even funnier about that, I mean, the line and the delivery from Mark Addy is incredible, but
so good.
It's so funny that he's trying to remember the wench that Ned Stark had. And he's like, what was her name? Bessie with the tits. and Ned's like,
Becca. No, he thinks it's Becca.
oh, right. And Ned's like, Bessie, she was yours, dude. And he's like,
dude.
fuck, you're right, dude.
Yeah, that was me. Totally.
So bad.
It's so,
So good.
He tries to blame Ned for it. Ned's like, nah, dude, that was another one of
No,
yours.
that was your fucking...
And Bobby B's like, yeah, it was. It's so good.
It's really fucking good.
Another amazing one. I don't know if I've ever truly appreciated this line. You'll probably learn very fast that me and Zach are pretty big fans of the Hound. And he has an amazing line in this episode when he goes to Sansa and Sansa is frightened by Sir Ilan Payne. And the Hound, who he himself has a super fucked up face and is very frightening.
Nah, man. Dude's handsome as shit.
He says to Sansa, he's like, is it this one that's frightening you? He frightens me too. Look at that face.
And dude, Ilan Payne is like,
yeah, dude, his expression does not change the entire time, but the Hound is just like, look at that face. It's so good. And he also has another brilliant one at the end. It's in a very serious scene, but I love his delivery of it, where he's got the butcher's boy, slung over his horse. And Ned is like, you rode him down. And the Hound just goes, he ran. Not very fast. It's just like, dude, you are fucked up.
Dude.
It's so
what
fucked
a
up.
Dick.
I love him to death. Yeah. He is great.
Rory McCann, right?
Yes, Rory McCann.
Dude, what a fucking legend.
Masterful performance.
To anybody, so here's some good little GOT tidbits for you.
Oh, I love a good bit.
Just go and look up Rory McCann commercial. Because that is...
Do I know about this?
You should. I feel like you're the one that showed me. He's like swimming in a lake or something like that. It's really fucking good.
My notorious memory may be striking again. That sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm blanking. I'll have to watch it again.
Dude, it's fantastic. Please watch that. He looks... I can't remember what the commercial is for. I feel like it's like for a cookie or something.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
the Hound is the cookie monster, confirmed.
I'm probably wrong, but there is he's done like modeling and like commercial work.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously a established like actor as well. Yeah. So
he's great.
Kind of all realms of that. Yeah. Rory McCann, fantastic.
He's so good. Another thing I want to call out, back on kind of the John kick, I really appreciated all of his goodbye scenes with his half siblings. They're all very good. It's easy to see how deep the relationships go, and that there is true love and care there. Specifically the Arya, the Bran, and the Robb one. They're all very, very good. I love how John is such a good dude that Robb specifically asks him, how was my mother? Because he knows he just came back from saying goodbye to Bran. And John just lies to him. He does, he's not going to be like, yo, your mom's a fucking asshole.
A fucking cunt.
He just is like, she was very kind. Because he's a good dude. And I love that from John. He doesn't want to be like, yo, your mom's a dick and I hate her. Right. And it's just, all three of them are very, very good scenes. Obviously, the big one being the one with Arya, where he gives her the sword.
He doesn't ever say bye to Sansa, though.
No, they do not have the best relationship. Sansa, very much like her mother, and also does not have a very strong relationship with John. Which is
kind of a bummer.
Talked about more in the books, but
right. His goodbye with Arya is
fantastic,
incredible.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like we talked about this a little bit last episode, but Maisie Williams' performance as Arya is like, I feel like if you read that book, any of the books, and you could have drawn a picture of who this person should be to play Arya Stark, it would be Maisie Williams. Like, she does such a phenomenal job.
For like how young she is, and like
seriously,
the roles that she has to play is like so good.
Especially late, which obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves, but especially later, there's just incredible acting performances from her.
When she just starts beating the shit out of Sansa and like pulling her hair in the inn when she's like, "You liar, liar!" It's so good.
Yes.
I love it.
She even. I mean, this is a small thing, and this is not necessarily a testimony to her ability. It's just kind of cool. She decided to act as a left-handed swordsman, which you barely see it a little bit in this episode when she's training with the butcher's boy. But she's doing everything with her left hand because she knows that that's how Arya was written in the books, as a left-handed kid. Mm-hmm. And Maisie Williams is not left-handed, so all of her choreography had to be kind of like rewritten and like redone as somebody with left hand, or to be using their sword with their left hand. And I mean, even that is just impressive as a child to be making that choice and be like, nope, I want it to be like this and stay committed. And she stays committed the entire series.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is super cool.
So I had, we get the really fantastic line, not even necessarily line, just kind of a quick conversation of John and Ned, their goodbye. Mm-hmm. John is very much sad boy because he's a bastard, which,
what?
Understandable.
I've never heard that before. He's a bastard? What now?
Yeah. Right. And he asks Ned, does my mother even know I'm alive? Does she know where I'm going? Does she care? And Ned looks at him, and you can tell that there is I really want to have this conversation, and I owe you this conversation.
Yeah. And
he tells him, we'll speak about your mother the next time we see each other. I promise. It's a great goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's
knowing what we know, this conversation may or may not actually take place.
Yeah.
Who could say? But
who could say?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good sequence. I like pretty much all the John stuff in this episode. His scene with Jaime, which we didn't talk about, it's just kind of I don't think the scene is in the book.
Jaime's such a dick, if
I remember correctly. But yeah, Jaime is a real dick to him. But I'm trying to remember. Well, I won't say that. It's a good little scene, and Jaime. Another one of my favorite lines from this episode is like at the end of it, Jaime basically says something to the effect of like, "Oh, I'm sure you'll, have a wonderful time guarding us from all the dangers or whatnot." And then at the end he goes, "And if not, it's only for life." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, you are such an asshole, and I love you."
Dude, seriously, man.
It's only for life.
Which kind of is a perfect segue, by the way.
Yes.
I counted 2.
I counted 2.5.
Okay.
One is less mean and kind of something else.
So we have a reoccurring segment, and this will probably change, of keeping tally of certain things in episodes. And we started last week off by keeping tally of times that people are mean to John, old Johnny boy.
Our boy, Jon Snow,
our broody brother in black. How about that alliteration?
Oh, I liked that. Yeah, that was good.
But aside from him being a broody brother in black, fuck, man, say that 5 times fast.
I don't want to.
We want to know why he's brooding.
Mm-hmm.
It's because people shit all over him always.
Constantly.
And, I counted 2. And you have 2.5. 2.5.
2.5.
So I have the Jaime scene as 1.
The Jaime gives him so much shit for joining the Night's Watch for just no reason whatsoever, and I love that. Jaime's just walking by, like, going along his business for the day and sees John and is just like, I'm gonna go shit all over
I'm
this
just gonna
kid.
go fuck with this kid.
Yeah, it's so good.
Dude.
And the way he couches it as like, oh, let me thank you for your service to the Night's Watch. He is such a dick, and I do love him.
We've guarded the realm for whatever, and then he's like, oh, is it we already? Have you taken your vows?
It's so good.
Dude.
I love this scene.
Fucking hell, bro. John's like, soon enough. It's kind of sad, but like, I have to make this comparison.
Okay.
You didn't go to public school, so
No.
you may not know this, but it's kind of like when you talk to a kid who's in like the JROTC and they act like they're already soldiers, like in the army or something.
I have known a few of those. I know exactly what you mean.
It's so funny.
That is pretty funny. I just love how John basically starts this episode like, I'm defending the Night's Watch and we've guarded the realms for thousands of years. And then 20 minutes later of episode time, obviously, like he's seen firsthand and Tyrion is explaining to him, the Night's Watch is bullshit, bro.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what
he
to
starts
tell you.
off so bricked up about the Night's Watch.
And
then he's flaccid as shit, dude.
He learns real quick.
Yeah, dude. So the other one I have is Cat.
Yeah.
Cat being a dick, obviously.
An ultra dick is what I have
unnecessarily,
written
dude.
in my lines, in my notes. So unnecessary. He's just being so sweet and nice, saying goodbye to Bran, and she's just an ultra dickhead about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
so uncalled for, and the half one I have is I took particular note of
it's
the
not
way,
a full, it's a half.
It's a
chub.
it's a half chub. When they get to the wall, the way Benjen says welcome is ominous as fuck. He just like turns to them and he's like, welcome. And it's like, oh shit, we gonna die? What is happening?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily him being mean to John. It sounded super ominous, so I threw it.
It would have been
there.
better if he went, welcome. And then the song kicked in.
Exactly. That's all I got. That's the half eat.
That's okay, I guess. I guess we'll allow
I mean,
it.
it's not a big one. Speaking of,
it definitely isn't a big one.
Yeah, never. Speaking of Cat being an ultra dickhead, we have another new reoccurring segment, Zach.
Oh, you're gonna make me do this?
This one might be very difficult for you. This episode, I
didn't think you were gonna actually make me.
Oh, of course I'm gonna make
do
you.
this.
Of course I'm gonna make you.
Oh, why don't you tell him what it is?
Yeah, so we decided last week that
I think it's more of a you decided, by the way, not a me decided.
Well, no, you first decided that since I have a hatred of Daenerys, that I have to say something nice about her every episode.
Yeah, but that makes more sense because people actually like Dany.
Well,
and people actually find good things about
maybe,
Dany. Nobody likes Cat.
Maybe so, but I didn't want to be alone in this. I want you to experience my pain. So you also, I was like, who do you hate, Cat?
Have
Easy
you
peasy.
ever talked to somebody who's like, you know who's my favorite character in Game of Thrones?
Okay.
Catelyn.
Okay.
Catelyn Stark.
How about, would you rather say something nice about your boy Joff? Would that be more palatable to you?
No.
Okay, there. I didn't think so.
Not even.
I do have one for Daenerys.
All right, you first.
I appreciate the way that she attempts to take her fate into her own hands more. She is not just a straight passive, I'm going to let these bad things happen to me.
Right.
She goes to her handmaiden and it was like, hey, teach me how to have sex good. so I could, get in good with my man. And I appreciate that she makes the effort.
It's interesting because, like, obviously, we're finding the silver lining. Like, there's always been a lot of talk about, like, why do women who come to power have to, like, be you know,
Oh, sure.
sexually assaulted or whatever, come from a place of that, and that's supposed to quote unquote make them stronger. And I don't think that that's necessarily what we're trying to say. I think that it's just, it is a good thing that she decided to take matters into her own hands.
She used
regardless of the place that, regardless of her starting point. You know what I mean?
That is, the position that she was in. That is kind of the option she had available to her.
Right. I mean, it is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. It's, obviously the Dothraki are kind of, for lack of a better term, savages. And, that's kind of the route, the option she had. And she does use it to her advantage. So good for her.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one, Scott. I commend you on finding something good about your favorite character in this show.
What does Kat do? Or Joff? I would love for you to try to say something nice about Joff. That's a tall order.
That's a really tall order. Kat, you know what? Okay, Kat puts in some great detective work.
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. She goes full
She finds
Batman.
a hair.
She went up in that tower and turned on her Batman detective mode vision, and she saw that glowing hair, and she went and pressed X on it, and it was like,
Yeah. She interacted with the correct item, and she was given a clue.
Exactly.
So and she does take a bit of initiative. That's the one thing that I feel like is relatively constant about Kat. Is because of her love for her family. She is pretty she's pretty active. I don't necessarily
family only, no bastards allowed.
Yeah, seriously. Some good detective work, and she talks to her small, I don't know if you'd call it a council, but
right. I did have one more good line from that council, by the way. When Rob and Theon immediately jump, they get some tension immediately, and they're like, fucking war? We having a war? Let's fucking go. And Lewin, my boy Maester Lewin, comes back with, what? Is there to be a battle in the Godswood? Just settle the fuck down, you two. You put your swords back in your pants, metaphorically speaking.
And figuratively.
And figuratively. We're just fucking talking here. Come on.
And literally.
And literally, figuratively, metaphorically, spiritually, all of the above. I thought that was a good line. Yeah,
it is very good. I feel like people don't talk about Maester Lewin enough. He's so good.
He's cool. I like Mr. Lewin. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Was there any other general thoughts you had, Zach, before we transition to our final segment?
I feel like the only good thing I can say about Joff.
Oh, you are gonna try.
Just for funsies,
For shits and giggles.
Joff.
He lets Sansa drink as much as she wants.
No. Joff.
You let that little girl disarm you.
Yikes.
Yeah, dude.
Nothing, dude. Fuck Joff.
He takes a slap real well.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go. Let's jump into our final segment here that we have affectionately titled Who Be Thronin'?
Who Be Thronin'?
I feel like we need some theme music for our Who Be Thronin', Zach. Maybe we should look into that.
I'll find something for that.
Okay, good. Maybe it's already happening. Who could say?
Yeah, who could say?
Who could say? But we are going to say Who Be Thronin', where we last ended last week. Our boy Bobby B had taken the top spot, followed by Eddard Stark, Queen Cersei, Tyrion, and Jaime. And I don't know about you, but I feel like we are definitely going to have some movement here this week.
Yeah, I think so here's the thing. I know that you don't want this to be as focused on a specific ranking, like a specific reason, but
I mean, what do you mean?
like, okay, so I have
Are you
an
gonna
argument.
jump 4 seasons into the future again?
No. I feel like after today's episode, Cersei needs to be like maybe at the top.
I agree. She probably moves up, and Ned definitely moves down. Maybe comes off the list entirely. I like Ned, but he didn't have a fantastic episode.
That's true.
Do you think she moves to number 1? Bobby B, I think he needs to stay on the list because he did have some great moments, but he kind of had some cowardly, dare I say, cowardly moments.
Okay,
well.
so I think okay. So by the way, for our audio listeners, our list last week ended as follows: Bobby B number 1, Ned Stark number 2. What, did you already say this?
I already said this, but it's fine.
Did you really?
Yes.
Jesus fuck me, dude.
Now, Bobby B, Ned Stark, Cersei at 3, Tyrion at 4, and Jaime Lannister at 5.
Yeah.
Someone who I think does need to jump on the list for sure is Arya.
I would agree with that.
Arya had a good episode. She, if for nothing else, she defended her friend. She hit Joff with a stick, and then my favorite part, she threw his sword in the river, which is very, very funny. Also, she had to do the very difficult but correct task of white-fanging her wolf.
Yeah.
I think she makes the list this week.
I think she makes the list relatively high.
I think Jaime's... Oh, shoot. I keep doing that, Zach. I think Jaime can come off. He didn't do much this episode.
No, he didn't.
I think Jaime comes off. Let's get rid of Jaime. I love you though, bud. Oh boy, this order might be difficult. Tyrion has to stay. He had a good episode. What are you thinking order-wise?
Okay, hold on. John also needs to be on this list.
You think so? I like John in this episode, but did he actually do anything that great?
John has some of the best scenes, like consistently best scenes in this episode.
That's true.
His conversation with Tyrion, his conversation with Ned, his conversation with Arya, his goodbye with Robb. Like he's just good.
So are these our 5 then? Arya, Robert, Cersei, and Tyrion?
Yes. And I'm okay with John being at the bottom of the list.
Okay.
I think it goes Bobby B number 1, Cersei number 2, Arya number 3, Tyrion number 4, John number 5. You could maybe make the argument that Tyrion and Arya can flip.
I was going to say Cersei and Robert flip.
So I feel like, okay, I enjoy, since there's not one defined reason why these people are up here.
True.
I enjoy him more
than fair.
Probably anybody on the list. And he is still the king at the end of the day.
He is.
Even though Cersei is pulling strings,
it is still his say that everyone has to abide by.
Right. And she only gets a little bit of what she was after.
Right, not the full.
Because Bobby B is like, shut the fuck up, lady.
That's a good point. Okay. Oh shit, Zach.
Oh, do we have to put Danny up here?
No. Although maybe
fuck.
I just thought of one other that I feel like has to. Actually, kind of 2 others that have to make this list. But here's the other thing. I don't know if I have. Okay, I might have to do some Googling here, Zach.
Well, listen, this is a perfect time for me to say, listen, if you guys aren't following us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, you can hit us up at We Don't Wanna Pod. and stay up to date with all of the cool shenanigans that we are getting up to there. Like episode releases, merch drops, just general announcements. And in the works, I am, by the way, Scott, I haven't talked to you about this, but I'm doing it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Setting up a Discord channel so we can have one kind of community base where you guys can shoot the shit. I'll probably hop in there every now and then and kind of just have a large community discussion about anything and everything. And we'll probably have some announcements up on there, so stay tuned for that. You'll hear about that on our Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and of course here on the podcast. We do still have merch up as well. We'll put the link for that in the description of both, actually, the audio and the video podcast, and you guys can check that shit out and buy yourself a nice shirt or hoodie. Scott, did I buy you enough time?
You did.
Oh, good.
How can we forget?
Oh my lord!
I'm not messing anything up.
Watching you do all this is stressing me the fuck out.
Maybe the two MVPs of this episode, Nymeria and does not have a name currently, technically, but Bran's wolf will eventually be known to be called Summer. Is that taking up
It's the whole screen.
I know exactly what I'm doing here, folks. We're all good here. He fucking saves the day. I should crop this. We'll maybe worry about that later. He saves the day big time, and then just hops up on his master's bed, gives his master a little lick, and then just lays down to have himself a nap.
Kind of have
good.
2 dire wolves in our top 5 who be thrown in list.
But I mean, they kind of are the MVPs of this episode.
Look, I think I can agree with. Oh,
I feel like Summer has to make it. I like Nymeria biting Joff. That's fun and funny, because fuck that kid. Yeah. And it's very sad when Arya has to white fang her. But if I have to choose one, if you're gonna make me choose only one wolf, it has to be Summer.
Okay, I'll concede that. I think John can come off for that.
Okay. I like John a lot. I wish he could make the list, but let's put... I kind of want Summer.
Yeah, and Summer stays at the bottom.
Fine.
It's more of an honorary position because, look, Summer's not actually thrown in.
Summer...
Just Summer
he
is
jumped up on that bed like it was his throne. He owned
that
shit.
Yes, okay, great, Scott. Yep. Summer can be number 5. I'll let you have that.
Okay, fine. I'll concede to that. Are we good then?
I think we're good. You should take Ned off the screen.
I should take Ned off the screen. You don't want to add Daenerys? I don't know who I would take off. I think let's maybe do a Daenerys, where are you?
I don't know, man. Okay, hold on.
Do I even have Daenerys on here yet?
Do you hate her that much that she's a main character and you didn't even think to have her in your fucking archive?
I add her. I have her picture. I literally don't have to look for a whole new picture.
Did I tell you guys that you can find us on Twitter and Instagram? At We Don't
Stretch it out. Now
Dude.
I got her. She's right here. Boom. Princess Daenerys Targaryen.
Princess Mia Thermopolis.
Do we leave her down here as an honorable mention, a menchie?
I don't. Nah, man. I think we've got to fight. We've got to fight here. Look. Okay. I know that our liking for the character
is a big part.
But I think when we're looking at this thing called Who Be Thrown In,
we're getting into semantics already.
I just feel like maybe Tyrion comes off.
I That's kind of who I was looking at too. I love Tyrion this episode.
He does have some good lines,
but
he's not doing stuff.
How would you feel about?
I don't know. Can you guys tell that Scott just slid Dany over to number 5 and put fucking Summer above her? You guys tell that Scott doesn't fuck with Dany?
Summer saves 2 main characters' lives. I would just like to point out.
Dany quite literally became a queen.
I mean, technically, she was a queen before that.
Yeah, no, but she like...
All right, fine. I'll put the wolf at 5. Even though, I mean, just look at that face. Like, you saw it when I first pulled it up. It was
when it was full fucking screen, dude.
But look at that face. He's still got blood on his muzzle. He's an absolute baller. I love Summer. He just licks Bran's face and then has himself a nap. It's so good. Okay, I think
you should get Tyrion out of there.
I should get Tyrion out of there. Good call. All right, Tyrion, I wish we had room for you, bud. I like you a lot this episode, but this is our list.
All right, let the peoples know.
Let the peoples know. Number 1, 2 weeks running, King Bobby B. Baratheon. Moving up a spot to number 2, Queen Cersei Lannister Baratheon. First time on the list, Arya Stark jumps all the way to 3rd. First time on the list, Princess Khaleesi Daenerys Targaryen jumps on at 4th. And my fucking guy, Bran's direwolf, Summer, sneaks onto the list. You know, wolves are very sneaky. He sneaked onto the list at number 5.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid list. By the way, you saying Dany or Princess or Khaleesi or whatever the fuck you said.
Whatever I said.
I just have a PSA for all of our watchers and listeners. Daenerys Targaryen's name is Daenerys or Dany for short.
People that call her Khaleesi.
Her name is not Khaleesi.
Dude, that bugs me so much.
Dude, it really does drive me up the fucking wall.
I don't even like her, but that still drives me crazy. Wasn't that like one of the most popular baby names was actually Khaleesi?
It was.
Like, when this show was running.
So it literally, by the way, it literally means queen.
Yeah, it's just queen.
Like Cal is like the king of them or the leader or the person in charge.
The warlord, yeah.
Right. And Khaleesi or Khaleesi is his woman counterpart.
If you're out there watching this and you named your child Khaleesi, I'm not judging you.
We're sure your kiddo is cool.
We're sure your Khaleesi, little Khaleesi, is adorable and cool. But just
don't do it again.
That's just not her name.
Just don't let it happen again, all right?
That's right. We're watching you. We got our eyes on you, motherfuckers.
Dude, holy fuck. Yeah.
Half our audience
I hope
left.
I know, yeah. I hope that the half that stayed is going, thank you. Fuck that shit.
Someone out there surely shares our pain. Surely.
Yeah, surely.
That is who be thrown in. We will check in next week to see what other movement we have. Zachy boy, you got anything else you want to wrap up here with, pal?
I think we're good, man. This was a good episode. Sets up a lot, and you said this last week, but it is painful to only watch one episode a week.
It's rough.
It's fucked up. I just want to keep going.
Maybe we should do something about that. Who could say?
Maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. You can follow us on Apple Podcast, on Spotify Podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, and of course here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Did I get it right this time? Like, comment, subscribe. Right, that's the thing. Right, that's what you say when you're on YouTube. Dude, we're such professionals. You guys should absolutely follow along this journey.
You didn't see that giant summer picture. That was a figment of your imagination. That was an optical illusion.
We'll be back next week talking more about Jason Momoa's boobies and who be thrown in and all that good stuff. Thank you again. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.